Hello, Clock Ninja here, and making another video. Okay, watching the latest video from King Grimpachi. Okay, and he says that PC gaming the illusion. Okay, and I watched the whole video, and I understand your argument that annual fees on a particular system over a time period will exceed the cost of any other system that doesn't have annual fees. Okay, so you can buy a $500 to $1,000 PC, and if you're not paying annually to play anything on that system, and all you're doing is paying for games, then of course yes, over a time period, if you're paying $50 to $60 a year on a console, of course, after several years, you're going to have invested or put more money into the console than the PC. And I understand that argument perfectly, because when Xbox 360 had live fees for you to play those games online, and Sony PlayStation did not have live or annual fees mandatory, I made that argument that an Xbox over a time period would cost double or triple the amount of a PlayStation because of the annual fee. And it's a legitimate argument. I cannot dispute it. You're absolutely right. Okay, but one thing that you fail to mention is that a PlayStation, if you buy a PlayStation today, that PlayStation will play any games that is made for that system all the way up until the end, until they stop making the games for that system. Okay, so 7 years from now, 10 years from now, if a developer decides to make a game for that console, it's going to play that game at a steady frame rate that it was meant to be or designed for. If the game was developed to run at 60 frames per second, the PlayStation will run the game 60 frames per second. If the game was simplified and made basically to be less resource intensive, it will run at, let's say, whatever frame rate the game was designed for, 48 frames per second, even 26 frames per second. Okay, some games need the frame rate, some games don't. If you're playing turn-based RPGs, obviously you don't need frames. Frame rates are not important. If you're playing RTSs, frame rates are important, especially if you have numerous amounts of characters on the one particular screen. Like when you're fighting armies and you have, all sorts of graphic, intensive action going on at the same time. You want the frame rates and the performance of that system to be optimal, and that's one of the reasons why you don't see a lot of RTSs on a console. Because I agree, when it comes to processing power, the console cannot compete with the PC. And here I am telling you, I am not arguing the fact that PCs are superior. The PC is the ultimate superior gaming machine. Okay, I'm not arguing with you guys about that. Okay, in fact, if I was to get another gaming rig today, I would get one not to play the ports that are coming over to the PC from the consoles, but I'll be getting a PC basically to play the RTSs and the more in-depth RPGs, MMOs, and things like that. I'm not going to get a PC to play fighting games. I'm not going to get a PC to play shooters, okay? Although I do miss the keyboard and mouse, and with the PlayStation 3 I was able to use a keyboard and mouse, but like I said, it's a matter of taste. If you are into console gaming, I think it's better just to stay on the console instead of getting a PC and playing console games. Okay, if you like Battlefield, okay, and you want to utilize everything that Battlefield 4 has to offer, at the maximum settings and at the maximum performance and at the maximum options that you don't get with the console versions, then I recommend that you get a superior PC, okay? I mean a real gaming rig, okay, with the power, the proper power supply, the proper graphics card, the proper hard disk drive, the proper motherboard, the proper processor, you know, the proper bandwidth between all of the components so that things can run smoothly without bottlenecking, you know. So if I was to get a PC to claim superiority over console gaming, that's what I would get. I would not go to Walmart and buy a PC, put $150 graphics card into it, and claim superiority over console gamers. I wouldn't do that, okay? Because you know why? Because at the end of the day, I'm playing on my budget PC, and there's people around me who have far better PCs. That's going to leave me in the dust, okay? And for me to turn around and make fun of a console gamer is kind of ridiculous, okay? Because at the end of the day, your PC, the budget PC, I'm not talking about your average. I'm not even talking about your average gaming rig. I'm talking about your budget PC with a 300 watt power supply and barely trying to run a graphics card, independent graphics card. Even though if that graphics card was designed for a low wattage power supply, whatever, you know, you're talking about, you know, a system that is not optimal for gaming. So you're gonna be struggling to keep up with other PCs, and you're definitely going to be struggling to keep ahead of consoles, because 1080p, even at the standard 1080p on PC with 60, as you know, trying to achieve 60 frames a second, you can't set your graphics but so high, okay? And once you set it to the average standard settings, so you can run it optimal speeds and resolution, if you put that version of the game side by side with the console game, you're not going to see that much of a difference. You are not going to see that much of a difference, okay? I'm going to drop some names here. Broken Games is a shout out to him. He made a video recently doing a benchmark testing on Thief. Okay, and I don't know what kind of system Broken Gamer has. It's obvious he has a pretty decent gaming rig. He set his game to various settings, and he played it, and the benchmark results were around 46 to 48 frames per second at various resolutions. Okay, now that's with a dedicated gaming rig. Okay, probably a properly made one. I'm not like I said, I'm not. Don't quote me on this. I'm not really sure what kind of gaming rig he has. I'm hoping to see one day that he makes a video on it and let me see. But let's say even if that was a budget PC, okay, it's still respectable numbers. Okay, it's still respectable, and it looks good. Okay, but it's nothing to really claim superiority over anything about or write home about. Okay, now a few years ago, guys were hot to trot with their new gaming PCs. You know, they all got the latest PCs. You know, and they came forward and said, "Oh, you know, I'm you guys are nothing. I'm running these games off of Steam at 120 frames per second," and you know, they were bragging all kinds of numbers. But you can probably do that your first 6 months or a year while your PC is brand new, but after about first or second year, there are going to be games that are going to be coming out that the PC is not going to be consistent with. the same PC that you had for a couple of years. It's not going to be consistent, okay? Like I said, the games that come out today for the PlayStation or the Xbox or the Wii U, okay, are gonna play the same as the games that come out 7 years from now for the same system, okay? And that may be a good thing or a bad thing, doesn't matter. It depends on the developer, okay? If the developer makes a really awesome game and they maximize the capabilities of the console and you know, it runs really good, fine. But you know what the PC industry never does is that they never cater to their consumers. In other words, they don't give a rat's ass if you have a 7-year-old PC gaming machine. They don't. Well, they're going to continue to make games that requires you to have a better system, okay? They're not going to say, oh, Junior has a PC that is 7 years old, let me make the best looking game, better than what I put out 7 years ago, and still be able to run it on that machine at optimal speed and optimal resolution. Okay, they're not going to do that. That's not the PC gaming industry. That is not what they do. Okay, they require you, or they want you to go and buy the latest graphics card. They want you to upgrade. They want your PC to be obsolete within a certain amount of years, and in some cases within a certain amount of months. Because look how many times you get a new graphics card out, and then 6 months down the line, there's a new version of that same graphics card by the same company. Okay, and you know, I'm not knocking that, because that has to happen for evolution to occur, for progress to occur. But if you want steady, consistent performance and a longevity of entertainment from a particular system, the console is the only way to go. Because I'm going to tell you right now, I've been PC gaming for years, okay? And there has never been a case where 1 month I'm playing a game pretty decently, and then the same month a year from then, I wind up having to go buy more RAM memory, or I have to go buy a new graphics card, or, you know, there's something that I have to do to make the system run better. It's a little bit more complicated than everyone here wants to make PC gaming sound like, okay? And yes, is PC gaming more reliable than before? Yes, it probably is. Is it more like console gaming now? Yes, it is, because you're getting basically the same games as the console gamers. Whereas in the past, PC gamers had the bragging rights to the most exclusive games on the planet. You know, StarCraft, Counter-Strike, you know, Half-Life, you know. These games were imitated, some of these games were imitated on the console, but never duplicated, okay? So, but these days, it's almost, it seems as though it's the other way around. You know, PCs are trying to duplicate or imitate console games, and that's ridiculous. It's you guys are getting totally ripped off. But anyway, I don't disagree with the fact that the PCs are superior. I just disagree with many of you that make it try to sound like it is simpler than what it is, and that all you have to do is just buy a $500 PC and you're going to be able to run all these games that are out there without any glitches or problems. Okay, I'm not saying that there aren't glitches or problems with consoles, but we can, like, let's say a Bayonetta. Okay, prime example. Played shitty on the PlayStation 3, but played pretty decent on the Xbox, right? Okay, was that the fault of the hardware? No, it was the fault of the developers. Okay, they finally put a patch in, fixed it, whatever. Okay, but in 90% of the problems that the PC face, 10% may be software error or needing updates and patches, and 90% could be hardware incompatibility or